Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, September 10, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems, that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future, although they're in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at this post that was made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica today. By the way, keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we highlighted the fact that today was the anniversary of Hurricane Ivan. We posted here stating, today in hurricane history, 20 years ago on September 10, 2004, Hurricane Ivan passed Jamaica as a powerful Category 4, bringing extreme winds, torrential rainfall, causing 17 fatalities and racking up $360 million in damages in Jamaica. Do you remember this hurricane? And we also showed a little graphic right here showing the visible satellite images of Ivan rushing through the Caribbean, passing to the south of Jamaica as a major hurricane, Category 4, even strengthening to Category 5 as it passed to the south of us. And we can definitely see, even with this graphic that's about to come up, this one that shows the line, we can see it definitely heading to Jamaica and then curving westward. So we definitely dodged a bullet with that one. And we remember how devastating Ivan was. I definitely remember. I was in grade 6 at the time. Quite an eventful day for sure. Well, quite an eventful 2 nights for sure. It was Friday, September 10, and then it also affected us on Saturday. And there's a reason why Ivan is the display picture for our pages in general. That is what sparked the interest in these weather events from the start for me. And we definitely had some comments coming in from some of our followers who actually remembered this system. One comment right here from Mingle Bingley stating, I was but 7 years old then. Couldn't leave the community for weeks on end. Whole place was flooded due to a dormant river that woke up angry. Then we have everybody stating, I remember it, I was 6. Even on our Facebook page where the comments coming in, we have one comment right here from Jenny Spinnock stating, yes, I remember. My son born 2 weeks after. Tashina Jones stating, remember like it was yesterday. This hurricane traumatized me. And Tasha Fletcher stating, 20 years ago, time really flies. And we definitely had some comments coming in also on our Instagram page. We have Kebs X the X Zillennial stating, yes, I remember this. It was my favorite because my mom had to cook all the food in the fridge and the fruits we couldn't reach on the trees were now on the ground. Good times. We also have Alcibu Collection stating, yes, I just had my firstborn. Dre Unique Chef stating, just like yesterday, and it made me stop eating tin mackerel for years. And we also had Joanna _ Gemini stating, I was 10 and just started grade 5. It was my favorite hurricane experience and I slept through it. And we also had the Leo Girl 27 stating, yup, this was my very first hurricane. I was in grade 1. Well, hopefully we don't live to see, well, not necessarily live to see another hurricane like Ivan or Beryl, but hopefully none of them, any storms similar to them, come to our area in our lifetime. If we take a look here at the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, we can see what's in store for the next couple of weeks. This map is valid for September 18 to September 14, well, September 24, And we can definitely see that portion of the main development region and Africa are still highlighted for some amount of eventful activity. We know the reds and the whites across the main development region that we can also see on the September 25 to October 1 is valid for tropical cyclone formation probability of about 20%. Hopefully, if something develops, it's not headed to the Caribbean but moving out to sea. You can also see Africa that's going to be experiencing the green colors that we know represent above normal rainfall, 50% in the lighter shades, 65% in the darker shades, 80% in the dark shades. And we can also see that for the time period from August 25 to August 1, there should also be some amount of tropical development across the Western Caribbean, the Southern Gulf of Mexico, and we can also see some light shades of greens right there that represents above normal rainfall as well. If we take a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, we can see that as of their latest update that just came out at 7:46 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:46 p.m. Jamaica time, we can see that we now have Hurricane Francine right there across the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. And we can see that we still have those areas highlighted for possible tropical cyclone development across the main development region. The one that had a medium chance yesterday now has a low chance, just a 30% chance of development. And we see that it has now tilted more from an east to west kind of fashion. It was more so tilting towards the northwest or the west northwest. But there's a chance that it could definitely affect the Eastern Caribbean islands. What we're hoping is that it doesn't actually develop as the Hurricane Center states. According to the Hurricane Center, it says here, an elongated area of low pressure located over the central tropical Atlantic continues to produce some disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity. Environmental conditions appear marginally conducive for some slight development during the next day or two while the system moves westward at 5 to 10 miles per hour over the central tropical Atlantic. The disturbance is expected to reach an area of drier air on Thursday, likely ending its chances for development. Now we see that they've given it a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours, that's the next 2 days, and a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. The area to the east of there, however, has a high chance of development, an 80% chance at that. According to the Hurricane Center, a trough of low pressure over the eastern tropical Atlantic is producing a large but disorganized area of showers and thunderstorms from near the Cabo Verde Islands extending southwestward for several hundred miles. Environmental conditions appear favorable for gradual development of this system, and a depression, a tropical depression at that, will likely form during the latter part of this week while the system moves west-northwestward at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And we see that they've given it a 40% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours, that's the next 2 days, and as stated earlier, an 80% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. But let us focus our attention on Francine. As of right now, we can see her right here spinning away across the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of shower and thunderstorm activity associated with her. Look at all the deep convection in the reds, the blacks, the whites, the grays, the purples right here with the central dense overcast. It has definitely strengthened since yesterday. Yesterday it was a tropical storm. We can see it right here on the infrared satellite images. Well, the rainbow loop that is, and we can still see that it's attached to that frontal system that's across portion of the southern United States, spilling into portion of Florida and the Bahamas. And if we take a look at what the Hurricane Center state is going to be happening with it, first of all, we see that it is now packing maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. So it is just a minimal hurricane at that. So we see tropical storm force winds around 39 to 73 miles per hour. Hurricane force winds, category 1 at that, anywhere from 74 miles per hour to 95 miles per hour. So it's on the low end of the scale in terms of category 1. So 75 right there. We see that it is moving towards the northeast at 10 miles per hour. And we can see the tropical storm force winds associated with Francine in the brownish goldish kind of colors right there. The hurricane force winds in the darker shades closer to the center, and we see that it's definitely going to be pushing northeastward as a hurricane. The H And it makes sense that they have the hurricane warning in the red, still up for portions of the coastal areas of Louisiana. If you have friends or relatives in those areas, contact them from now, because there could be a long period of time for, them being without electricity or communication, whatever the case may be. So get cracking with that. We also see a tropical storm warning right there across portions of Texas, as well as a tropical storm warning across portions of the Mississippi and Alabama coast, as the system is expected to push northeastward as a hurricane. And then, as usual, the land interaction is going to cause some amount of weakening. It's going to weaken to a tropical storm, as we can see right there. As the S represents storm, the D represents tropical depression. So it's just going to be downgrading as expected. We know these things go. Tropical depressions develop into tropical waves develop into tropical depressions, then become tropical storms, then become hurricanes. So it only makes sense that when they're degenerating now, it's the other way around, from hurricane to storm to depression, and then eventually just back to an era of low pressure. And if we take a look at the amount of rainfall that's expected, we know these weak systems, weak hurricanes or tropical storms, are more than likely going to be causing more in the way of rainfall and flooding than anything else. So the weaker the hurricane, the wetter it is. The stronger the hurricane, the more windy it is. We know the drill. And we see the rainfall totals that are expected. The greens that we can see by the key on the bottom right represent anywhere from 1 all the way up to 4 inches of rainfall. The yellows represent all the way up to 4 to 6 inches of rainfall in the gold. Oranges, 8 inches of rainfall. But we can see the heaviest of the weather should be right there to the south of Louisiana, with the reds up to 12 inches of rainfall. So that's bad for the fishes in general. But what's going to be happening regarding the other systems? Let's just take a look at what the Euro and the GFS models are showing. First of all, we can make out the first system right here on the eastern portion of the map. Either way, we're going to be focusing our attention on the top part of the map. We're just going to be going on to the next 168 hours. And we're going to be looking to see what Francine does. And we're going to be looking to see what the other systems across the main development region do as well. So let's begin. So as we go out in time, we see that Francine definitely making landfall in Louisiana around maybe early Thursday, late Wednesday, right there. And we can see that the moisture associated with the system start to come into portion of the eastern Caribbean right there. And then by the end of the 168 hours, we start to see the other system coming into view. That's the system that has the high chance of development, possibly a strong tropical storm, if not a hurricane at that time when it's to the northeast of the Caribbean. But what does the GFS say or show going out in time? Something similar coming into Louisiana right there, 0 on Thursday. That's about 7 p.m. on Wednesday. So anywhere from late Wednesday into early Thursday. And we can also see the other system right here, the weaker one, to the east of the Caribbean, pushing westward. Something similar to what the Euro was showing. And as we continue out to the next 168 hours, we don't see the other system coming into view at all. It could or might have curved northward, while the Euro has the system coming more into view right here on the Western Atlantic map. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and we still have a lot more time to watch it. Either way, we see that there's still some inconsistencies with what both the Euro and the GFS models are forecasting regarding the system in red that the Hurricane Center has highlighted. So we just have to, take these forecasts with a grain of salt, because these maps will forever change. If we take a look right here at the Atlantic and tropical storm activity based on data from 1944 to 2020, we can see that we're right here. We're actually here at the top of the map. It's September 10th. It is the peak day for hurricane season. And what this generally means is that if there's going to be a day where there's a hurricane somewhere out there in the Atlantic, it's going to be today, September 10. And we definitely have that. It's only fitting that September 10 is the peak day, because there's always something out there, whether it's a tropical depression storm, and we definitely have a hurricane right now, that's Francine, across the Gulf of Mexico. Even although the season is a bit overplayed considering the warm waters, but we see that the Atlantic had a mind of its own, not really producing much, even though we were sure that by this time around we would have had a lot of hurricanes. But there are no complaints. We're indeed grateful for the lack of activity. We don't need another barrel right now at all. Either way, the tracks and origins for September are as usual coming in from the main development region, curving before reaching the Caribbean, or coming into the Caribbean, heading into the Western Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico, heading inland. And it makes sense based on what's happening right now with Francine, something in the Gulf of Mexico pushing northward into Louisiana. And if we also take a look at where we've had tropical systems form from 1851 to 2023, they finally updated them up. When I looked at this last month, it was showing 1851 to 2009, and they finally added some more regarding the years that we've been missing from 2010 all the way up to 2023. And considering that it's not 2020, well, 2024 isn't over as yet, so it makes sense that they haven't made any update. But we can see here all of these yellow dots represent where we've seen tropical storms form, tropical and subtropical cyclone points of origin, that is. All of these yellow dots, and we can see the main development region, definitely a hot spot right here between Africa and the Caribbean. Portion of the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, the southwestern Atlantic, the eastern Pacific as well. And we also see all of these black dots showing where majority of these systems from September 10 to from September 11 to September 12 have moved. And we see Jamaica right here. Jamaica has a few lines right there to the north, one right here passing to the west of the island, and a few passing to the south. We're definitely smack dab in the middle of the hurricane highway. If we take a look here at the sea surface temperature anomalies as of their latest update that just came out yesterday, September 9, we can see all of the yellows, the oranges, the reds that represent above normal sea surface temperatures. Normal sea surface temperatures are right there in the whites, and the below normal sea surface temperatures are represented by the blues, and we can see a lot of blues across the central to the eastern Pacific associated with the La Nina that's coming in. We've been talking about La Nina. La Nina, causes conditions across the Atlantic to be riper than normal, easier for these systems to develop, whatever the case may be. But clearly La Nina isn't the only driver when it comes to these hurricanes, because look at how dead the season has been all of August, all of early September, well, with the exception of Francine. So there are a lot of things in play that determine when things are going to be active or not. Either way, there are no complaints. We're grateful that we don't have a system that's strong coming in from the main development region and coming into the Caribbean right now. Either way, regarding the El Nino, well, the La Nina, first of all, we know El Nino is when we have warm waters in the yellows and oranges and reds across this spot. And the El Nino causes more convection, more storms in general to be forming across the central to the eastern Pacific, thus causing more wind shear across the Caribbean and the Atlantic, tearing the tops of these thunderstorms off. But with the La Nina now in place, we don't have that at all. We have these systems developing much easier than normal, and even before we had the La Nina coming, we had neutral conditions, and that was what brought us Beryl. So with a La Nina and with almost 2 months remaining, 2.5 months if I'm not mistaken, November, October, we still have to look out and stay updated with what's coming. And not only because of the sea surface temperatures, but because of the ocean heat content. Look at all of these, the yellows, the gold, the reds, especially around the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, and to the south of Cuba. The reds represent how warm the waters are the deeper we go into the ocean. And if these systems choose to stall out, they're just going to be churning up a lot more warm water to be using as fuel and get even stronger. We don't want any system to be using all of this warm water. And it makes sense that Jamaica has been so hot recently. Look at all of the warm ocean heat content. Trust me, the warmth of the ocean has a lot to do with the warmth of the air in general, which is why Jamaica has been so hot this week. Trust me, I'm at work sweating buckets. But we have to stay hydrated to beat the heat. If we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can still see the frontal system across portion of the Gulf of Mexico, across Florida, into the northern Bahamas and the western Atlantic, well, the northwestern Atlantic, that is. We can see the tropical wave that affected portion of Jamaica today. We can see another tropical wave across the eastern Caribbean. And we can see the areas of low pressure that the Hurricane Center is watching right there. And we can also see another tropical wave right there across the Cabo Verde Islands. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see all of these entities that were just mentioned. The frontal systems clouds right here. We can see Francine a bit off screen right here. We can see the clouds associated with the tropical wave. Not much thunderstorm. It was more so a dry tropical wave, but more of the thunderstorm activity was focused during the afternoon hours. We can see the tropical wave, however, across the eastern Caribbean. Look at all of the convection, especially across Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, the Leeward Islands. And we can also see the clouds associated with that area of low pressure closer to the Caribbean that has a low chance of development. And we can also see that other tropical wave east of there that has the high chance of development, as well as the other tropical wave that's affecting portions of the Cabo Verde Islands right there. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday, September 10, 2024. It was stated that parts of eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica would have received some afternoon rainfall today. And just for reference, we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? A post was made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, highlighting the visible satellite image. And keep in mind that this post was made around 2:35 p.m. and it showed that we definitely had some isolated thunderstorms across portions of some eastern, central, western Jamaica, western parishes in Jamaica. More so, Kingston and St. Andrew would count for the eastern parishes, not much across Portland or St. Thomas at all. But we also had the thunderstorm activity across portions of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, portions of St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. It wasn't as robust at that time when we were getting up to 3 o'clock. But as the afternoon progressed, look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica. We definitely saw the thunderstorms pushing in from east to west, from Kingston all the way into St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne definitely got in on that. And we also saw the high cold cloud tops being blown off towards the southwest, just like we mentioned in yesterday's video. Look at these high cold cloud tops being blown off, and we're going to be showing the high cold cloud tops even better soon. But let us take a look at the confirmation from some of our followers about today's weather. We have Cal.Azan stating here on our Twitter page, big rain in Manor Park for the past hour. It has eased now. Sunflower underscore groceries and underscore more stating, just coming down in Montego Bay. Just to show that it wasn't just southern Jamaica that got rain today. Definitely had some across northern Jamaica today. We also had Lorraine stating, my backyard is cool and I'm so happy, God is good. Vodka underscore vibe stating, yes, give thanks for the rain in St. Andrew cause today made it feel like me are over heat. And then finally, we have one comment here on our TikTok page, Marlene Russell stating, yes, this is a hurricane. Well, I guess that should have been posted regarding Hurricane Ivan. I don't think any comments came in regarding the absolute thunderstorm on our TikTok page. But if we take a look right here at See Jamaica's YouTube channel showing Crossroads today, we definitely had that rainfall. This is the live stream from 3:30 p.m. We can definitely see, for the most part, rain coming down, cars with their windshield wipers on, persons running and trying to get through the streets, persons with their umbrella, whatever the case may be, definitely soaked in general, some people might say. We definitely had some light to moderate rainfall in that area today. Maybe some heavy rainfall elsewhere especially considering the news that just came out on TVJ, highlighting the fact that a man and a woman swept away in flood waters. If you don't know what I'm referring to, just visit TVJ News on Instagram or visit our pages, Weather Jamaica. I had to repost it. Anything related to these bad weather. And keep in mind that the peak of severe weather in Jamaica is September. This is the month that we usually get the most in the way of bad weather related news, whether it's freak storms or persons getting struck by lightning, whatever the case may be. September is the month. By the way, this is the peak of the thunderstorm season, so there is gonna be a lot more lightning and thunder as we head throughout the month. This is definitely severe thunderstorm season for sure, so please ensure that you go indoors as soon as you hear the thunder roar. This is a very serious month. If we take a look at the infrared satellite images before the sun went down in general, we can definitely see what we just mentioned earlier. The high cold cloud tops or the cumulonimbus clouds being blown off towards the southwest, all courtesy of the upper level wind shear from the northeast. We can see the high cold cloud tops are represented by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, the blacks within there, and even the sparkling white that represents some amount of thunderstorm activity. And even at the end of this image, we still had some thunderstorm activity taking place, especially across the western portions of the island. This is the latest map, and yes, we have some clouds coming in from a thunderstorm up north of us, but we still have some rainfall as we speak across portions of western Jamaica. We can even see the thunderstorms on the infrared satellite image right there before the latest frame. The sparkling white, that's how I know represent thunderstorms that affected portions of Westmoreland for sure. But right now we still have some overcast skies, some upper level clouds from the northeast to southwest streaming across the island, across sections of central and western Jamaica. The latest Cuban Doppler radar image that just came out as of 9:30 p.m. that's 8:30 p.m. Jamaica time, shows the rainfall actually starting to wrap up right there, but we definitely have that rainfall across Westmoreland for sure, and the greens and yellows that represent moderate to some slightly heavy rainfall. We can also see some other rainfall dancing around the island, some rainfall to the west of us, some rainfall right there off the western coast of Haiti, some rainfall right there to the south of southeastern Cuba, and we can see that rainfall even better on the Guantanamo Bay Cuban military radar right there. The blues, the greens that represent some moderate rainfall across southeastern Cuba, as well as portions of Haiti. Not seeing much on the Jamaica portion because this Doppler radar only goes so far as Portland. But if we take a look at the Cayman radar, we can definitely see that rainfall that Westmoreland was receiving as stated earlier. And we can also see some dots of rainfall right there to the far south of the Cayman Islands. If you take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 27 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some yellows and some slight orange colors that represent 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. We're indeed grateful for that because today it was 1 to 3, maybe even close to 4 degrees Celsius above normal. I know you guys felt the heat today. I felt the heat for sure. It was hot. I was sweating buckets. So we know that 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. First of all, the normal temperatures for September across Jamaica are about close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. When calculated, 90 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 32.2 degrees Celsius. So given the 2 degrees Celsius in temperature rise tomorrow, it should be anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on a Wednesday. And please ensure that you try your very best to beat the heat. Stay hydrated, drink lots of water, not necessarily the sugary drinks. Try your very best to stay away from alcohol, the caffeine, the coffee. Also, stay indoors. Make use of the AC, the fans, especially the AC. If you can manage the bill, boy, I can't manage the bill, but I have to be turning the AC on. I can't take the heat. Rest, eat more fresh fruit, and please ensure that you check on the elderly people in your area, even your relatives too. If we take a look here at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Wednesday, we can see Jamaica right here in the clear. Majority of the Atlantic in general is in the clear, with all the browns that represent the Saharan dust closer to the African coastline right there in the browns. We are indeed grateful for that. We know we cannot manage the Saharan dust, the haze, the skies, not to mention triggering some amount of asthma or sinusitis in some persons. So we're grateful that it's definitely dwindled right now. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, it makes sense that both the Euro and the GFS showing the lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues across the Caribbean. That represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1 meter wave height. While the highest wave heights, as represented by the purples, the burgundy colors, that represent anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 6, 7, 8, or 9 foot waves. Right there where we have Hurricane Francine. It makes sense that the highest waves are there because the strongest winds are going to be there. Look at the system spinning away. That's an area of low pressure for sure, spinning around the center in a counterclockwise fashion. All of the strong winds as represented by the yellows, 25 knot winds, all the way up to 30, 35, 40, all the way up to hurricane status, whatever it may be in knots. And we can definitely see that by tomorrow, it's definitely getting closer to the coastline of Louisiana, while the Caribbean getting in on those 5 to 10 to maybe close to 15 knot winds coming in from the east for the most part. But as it relates to the close-up of Jamaica for tomorrow, look at this. Both the Euro and the GFS models are sure that the winds are not going to be strong at all. Look at the light shades of greens, anywhere from 5 close to 10 knots. And look at the direction the winds are flowing to show that they're not really that strong coming in from a specific direction from the east curving in. But look at where the darker blues are. That's where the air is going to be piling up. And keep in mind that with the lack of winds tomorrow, with these weak winds tomorrow, it's definitely going to be feeling hotter than normal outside. We know we depend a lot on the sea breeze to cool down the temperatures in Jamaica. So tomorrow is definitely going to be feeling hot. And we see that the air is going to be piling up across sections of the same areas that it piled up today. Not saying that the same areas that got rain today could get rain again, but look out, especially across inland areas of some central and western parishes. Maybe section of northwestern St. Thomas, portion of Kingston, St. Andrew, southwestern Portland, southern St. Mary. That's where the air is going to be piling up. And with the upper level winds still coming in from the northeast tomorrow, all courtesy of the upper level high pressure right there across the Gulf of Mexico, we can see all of the winds around the upper level high pressure going in that fashion. So still getting in on that northeasterly flow of upper level winds for tomorrow. So something similar to what we saw on the infrared satellite images with the high cold cloud tops, the cumulonimbus clouds being streaked off towards the southwest. That's what's going to be happening tomorrow when we have our thunderstorm in the afternoon, and we have that daytime heating, diurnal convection. And both the rainfall forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus that there's going to be rainfall on Wednesday afternoon. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. We can definitely see the blue shades that represent rainfall across portions of central and western Jamaica, especially maybe sections of western portion of eastern Jamaica. So section of maybe Kingston, St. Andrew, section of southern St. Mary, western Portland, northwestern St. Thomas, section of St. Catherine, St. Anne, Manchester, Clarendon, Trelawney, St. Elizabeth, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland for sure. The Euro model is a bit more robust with the greens and the darker blues and the yellows and the oranges. We'll see how that goes. Either way, it is September. Don't take these forecasts with a grain of salt. We might have severe weather. 'Tis the season for a lot of lightning and thunder. 'Tis the season for freak storms, especially across the southwest. St. Elizabeth is known for all of these freak storms. Please be mindful during the afternoon hours. We know how things can get, especially with this very active hurricane season. You don't want to be caught off guard in the afternoon like how some persons were caught off guard, as mentioned in the Instagram video about the man and woman who was swept away in the rushing waters this afternoon. If you haven't seen that video as yet, go and check it out from TVJ News or on our page. If we take a look here at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours, from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we can definitely, well, not the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. This is the accumulated precipitation from the Weather Nerds website, and we can see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus that there's going to be rainfall across portion of the island tomorrow. Keep in mind that this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing where it's going to be raining from now up until 3 on Thursday. When calculated, that's all the rain that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. And we can see the GFS a bit less robust with the rainfall totals all the way up to 0.53 of an inch of rainfall. Euro a bit more robust all the way up to 0.86 of an inch of rainfall right there across portion of Kingston and St. Andrew. Either way, we'll take it. We really need the temperatures to cool down with the heat, but we don't want anything bad to happen to anyone. We can see Kingston's bar graph right here at the top, showing the amount of rainfall that we usually receive for the month of September, almost 100 millimeters of rainfall. That's almost 4 inches of rainfall, given the fact that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. So it only makes sense that 4 inches of rainfall is close to 100 millimeters of rainfall. And we can also see that Montego Bay usually receives close to 7 inches of rainfall. 7 inches is about the same or close to 175 millimeters of rainfall. And I want for you to keep in mind that you can visit weatherandclimate.com to find out about your specific parish and the amount of rainfall that you usually receive throughout the year. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, the tropical wave is definitely doing a number on portion of the northeastern Caribbean right there, Puerto Rico, the Eastern British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda. All of those areas getting in on some amount of rainfall as we speak, with more to come tonight. We can also see the usual thunderstorm activity across northern Venezuela, Colombia, sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua as usual. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of what's happening across the northeastern Caribbean, we can definitely see all of that rainfall that we just mentioned. Look at this. The greens and the yellows, even the oranges and reds represent heavy rainfall, definitely lashing portions of the US Virgin Islands, portion of the British Virgin Islands as well. Let's get this map straight. Alright, here we go. You can also see that rainfall in and around Antigua and Barbuda, St. Bart, some rainfall spilling into portion of Guadeloupe. And if we look at these images from earlier today, let's see if we can load it. Portion of Puerto Rico definitely getting in on some of the rainfall too. Look at all of the rainfall across eastern, central portions of western Puerto Rico. Majority of it dying down at this time. The latest image shows the heaviest rainfall right here to the east of the US Virgin Islands. And there could be a lot of flash flooding taking place if some of this rainfall gets onto land. If we take a look at the rainfall in and around Barbados right now, we can see some rainfall right there up to the northwest of the island, streaking and pushing into portion of St. Lucia. Some rainfall also coming into portion of Martinique as we speak. Scrolling down, we can see some rainfall right there to the northeast of Tobago, maybe some of it already on land. Not seeing much happening across Trinidad right now. But if we take a look at the weather via Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall across portions of Florida associated with the frontal system, some rainfall across portions of Cuba. And we can also see some of this rainfall across portions of northern Guatemala, the Yucatan Peninsula, as well as northern portions of the Bahamas. And as relates to where rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing where it's going to be raining from now up until 3 on Thursday. When calculated, that's all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. We can definitely see the greens that we know represent all the way up to 0.25 of an inch of rainfall. The yellows all the way up to the reds that represent close to an inch of rainfall. And we're definitely going to be experiencing some amount of rainfall within the next 24 hours for portions of Florida, the Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, section of the Windward, well, the Leeward Islands more so than the Windward Island. We see kind of a break in between somewhere there near St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada. But we can see some rainfall on the Euro, different from what the GFS is showing. We'll see how that goes. We can also see some rainfall in store for portions of Trinidad and Tobago for sure. some rainfall for coastal areas of Guyana, Venezuela, section of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, and the Yucatan Peninsula. And we know that when both maps from the year and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.